So just allowing your eyes to close and taking a nice breath in, and on your exhale just allowing your body to relax onto the table. And with your next inhale and exhale, I'd like you to just let the others in this room disappear outside your awareness, coming to this time and place that's for you, and for you to process some of this thread around your dad and the grief that you've been holding on to for a long time, knowing that I'm here to support you. A time and place where it's safe to be and feel and express in any way at all. And you can notice your eyelids already wanting to flutter, and you can just allow that. And I'm going to be quiet for a little while and just connect in with you with my hands. But if you have any strong sensations or emotions or memories, please tell me, okay? All right. I want you to notice that clenching going on at your temples and see if you can just invite them to let go, knowing that it's safe to do so. You can notice your lip wanting to tremble, and you can just allow that. And it's as if your head's wanting to turn to the left, and if it does, you can just let that happen. Good. You can just let your cheek drop into my palm. Just bring your attention and your breath to between my hands. Good. And can you tell me if it's moving or it's still there?
It's moving.
Is it fast or slow?
Slow.
And is there a texture or a colour?
Mm. It's a little heavy, but not too heavy. Mm. It's dark grey.
And is there a texture?
It's a bit like dried clay.
Okay. So just bringing your attention and your breath to this dried clay, dark grey, heavy, moving slowly all the way in into the darkest, most clayey part. And just let me know what emotions there you'll instinctively know. You don't want it there? Can you tell me what it is?
It's not very useful.
It's not useful. So would it be safe to process it today? Let it leave you? Yeah. Are you able to connect to what it is, emotionally or experientially?
Like a depression.
Depression. Okay. And is there an emotion attached to depression, or is it just depression?
Maybe a visual story of why and why me and like this, like that.
Why me? Like this, like that? What's the emotion there, Chloe? Okay, we're not going to force you to name it, alright? Just going to connect to that sense of depression and that thought of why me? Why me? Okay? So I'm going to invite you to just use your breath to connect in and allow your exhale to create movement. Just let that depression start to move. Let that why me start to move. Good. Breathing in through your mouth. Breathing in through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Good. Making space to let it gently start leaving you. Good. See if you can deepen your breath a little. Let it support your process. Good. And just allow your jaw to drop open a little bit, making space. And see if on your next exhale you can allow a little bit of sound to come. Tell me what's happening there. Your body said something.
It says no.
No. Tell me about that no. What's the part of you that says no?
Sound doesn't feel safe.
Okay, thanks for telling me that. What's unsafe about sound? What would be the worst thing that could happen?
It just feels like it doesn't feel easeful.
Okay.
Or natural.
Right.
For sound to come.
Okay. So let's leave sound for now and listen to you, okay? I'm listening. You can just let your body and your psyche know that, yeah? Would it be okay to come back to your breath to help that movement with no sound? Yeah. Breathing in to connect. Exhale to let it move and release through the mouth. it feels a bit like you're bracing against yourself. Does that feel right?
What do you mean?
It feels like you're breathing in to connect, but there's also this clamping down going on. That part of you that's saying nope.
It's like I feel like it has to be quiet.
Why does it have to be quiet?
I don't like loud.
Tell me why you don't like loud.
It doesn't feel safe.
When has loud not been safe?
Like there's a harming or hitting.
So back then, loud wasn't safe. Yeah. Right now, I want you to be aware of your body on the table in the room at the clinic, and my hands here supporting and protecting you. Can you sense those? And here in the clinic, in this room with me, there's no harm with loud. Your loud is very safe. It's not going to harm anybody, and it's actually welcome. Can you notice how you're swallowing down that clay? It's okay if you want to move your jaw around. Perhaps it might be safer for you to connect to movement rather than sound. So if your jaw wants to move, or your head and neck want to move, or your arms, hands and fingers want to move, you can allow them to support your process in a way that's safe for you. Good. Breathing in to connect and exhaling to allow that clay, that depression to come out, that sense of why me. Good. And you can allow your movement to be as big as you like. Good. That's right. That little heart that wants to come, you can let it. It's safe. And if there are words that want to come, you can let those come too. It feels a bit like you were starting to go into it and then you ran away. Can you tell me what's happening?
I can feel it
Mm-hmm.
in my throat.
Uh-huh. Did it come up and get in your throat?
I don't know.
What do you know?
That I need water.
Okay. Dom, could you pass a drink of water to Chloe? What do you think the water is for?
Just to wash it down.
Okay. I just want to check, does it want to go down? Does it want to come up?
I think it wants to come down.
Okay. So Dom's going to give you water in your hand. You can slowly sit up if you want to. Just trying to stay inward. Should we just hang out here for a minute? Yeah. Did the water make it go down?
Yeah.
Where is it now?
Just going down.
Okay. Tell me what happens as it goes down.
It's still there.
Where's there? Is it between my hands or is it lower?
I think it's in the hips.
It's in the hips. Okay. Does it feel like you want to stay sitting up or lie down?
I think I need to lie down.
Okay, I'm going to support you to just lie down. So that clay, that sense of depression, it's in your hips, is it?
Maybe.
So I want you to just check in and see and let me know what's happened to it. I've got my hands off, but I'm right here. Just want to listen.
It just feels like it's just a part of me.
Can understand that. It's something you've had for a very long time, isn't it? Sometimes when we've had something for a very long time, the thought of letting it go can be quite scary because it's a part of us. Is that what's happening?
It could be.
Who would you be without this depression, without this sense of why me? I'm going to put a hand on your sacrum just while we chat a little, okay?
Who would I be?
Yeah. If you didn't have that depression and that sense of why me, what would Chloe be like?
Less guilty, more active, less a little bit lighter.
Would you like to be like that? Less guilty, more active, and a little bit lighter?
there also.
It's already there. It's like the clay is getting in the way, the depression is getting in the way. Sometimes. So there's a part of you that would like to get rid of it, but it seems like there's a part of you that wants to keep it. Can you tell me about that part?
That wants to keep it?
Yeah. That wants it to go down instead of come up.
This may sound funny, but it's like another body part. It's like another limb. Like it's just there. It's not.
Yeah, it's your identity.
But I don't know if it's possible to rid of it, because it's my blood, and all those generations that I don't know, it feels like they live inside.
Okay. So what I would like to do, Chloe, is to anchor your blood and your generation and your heritage and separate it from that feeling of depression so they're not linked anymore. Would that be okay? When you connect to that feeling of your blood and your heritage and lineage, where is that most strongest in your body?
It's actually in my head.
In your head? Where in your head?
I don't know if this is right, but it just feels tense now in my forehead.
Okay. I'm going to come there. So that's where you most strongly identify with your heritage?
Yes.
In your blood. All right. So I want you to just breathe into that sense of your heritage and that belonging. And just breathing into it to allow it to integrate and be so real and part of you that nothing can take it away. And once you can really feel and sense in your body that that's true, just give me a very gentle nod or a thumbs up, okay?
I think the clay is coming up now.
Okay, great. So knowing that your heritage and your lineage is intact, you can now very gently let that clay come up and out, okay? You can use your breath to support you. Just the clay, just the depression.
I don't think the clay is dry anymore.
What is it now? What does it feel like?
It's softened.
Okay. Is it softened enough to let it out? Good. It may feel like you need to cough it out, and that would be okay too, okay? Use your breath, breathe in to connect, and exhale to let it come up and out the throat. Notice how you're still swallowing it down. Can you connect to that process that's happening? And see if you can give yourself permission not to swallow it down anymore. You don't need to keep it inside anymore, okay? Okay, so breathe in to connect, let your jaw drop, and exhale through an open mouth. And if your body wants to connect into your process, you can allow it. If your head and neck want to move, if your jaw wants to move, your arms, shoulders, hands and fingers. Good. I'm going to put my hand on your throat to help. Is that okay? Okay. Good. Let's see if that sound is safe to come now, knowing that it's very safe and it's welcome. See if you can put a ha at the beginning of your exhale. Good. See if you can find a little bit of volume. Good. Just turning it up a little bit more, Chloe. Very safe. Noticing how the neck and jaw are opening up, making space for expression. Good. You can allow your fingers to twitch, it's okay. Good. Let me know where you are, Chloe.
I'm here.
What's happened to the clay, to the depression?
I think it's just there. but it's not mm, it's not bad, or it doesn't need to, nothing anymore needs to happen to it.
So you want to keep it inside you?
I think it's just changed form.
Tell me how it's changed form. What's different about it?
Like maybe now it's just like a material. It's just it's not anymore associated
With Tell me what you're smiling about.
I think words are so clumsy.
That's all right.
I'm finding there's many words.
You can let them all come out, all the words. Even if they don't make sense. Just let them come.
I don't think the clay is linked anymore to let's say pain or feeling sorry for myself.
What is it linked to now?
I think it's something that can be molded and can change form.
So if you were going to mold it and allow it to change form, what would you mold it into?
Maybe something beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. So can you allow that process to happen through your body? Can you breathe into the clay and allow it to transform? And you can allow your body to do whatever it needs to do to allow that process to happen. Turning the pain and the depression into beauty. And it might feel like your whole spine wants to move with that process, and you can allow it. Good. That's right. You can let the entire body do that. And it looks as if your hands want to really move. You can allow that too. Notice the changes in your breath that are happening through your torso where my hands are. You to breathe into the space. Good. And just connecting to that space that's no longer defined by the pain and the depression, because it's transformed into beauty. And just give me a gentle nod if you can connect to that. Yes, good. So just breathing into that transformation, that space to start to connect to the world in a new way. Through the lens of this new beauty that's arisen in you. And just giving your body time to integrate so that that's very real for you and you can take it off the table into your life. Nothing more to do today. I'm just going to hold you for a little while that integrates. Chloe, I'm going to invite you to bring your attention and your breath and your hands to the area that integrated into beauty from pain today. Can you do that now? Okay. And just breathing in to connect to that experience of beauty on the other side of the pain. Knowing that anytime you want to connect in, you can do so simply with your attention and your breath and your hands as well. Knowing that this is a place to return to again and again. And how nice it is to know that you can do that so gracefully. And take a few breaths into your entire body, noticing all the spaces and changes that have arisen in you today. And you might just like to move your jaw around and move your neck from side to side to feel that spaciousness. Good. And taking a few breaths in, being very aware of the table underneath you. And let your hips sink into the table a little more than before. And take a few more breaths, being aware of the room around you, the walls, the floor, and the ceiling. And just letting yourself orient in time and space. And taking a few more breaths, wiggling your fingers and your toes, very present in your body, good. And when you're ready, opening your eyes, integrated. Hi. And does it feel a little hard to look at me? Yeah. Okay. I give you a little bit of space to be around the room, but I'm right here. It can feel a bit overwhelming sometimes. I want to invite you to just turn onto your side for a while. Yeah, curl up. You can roll away. Yeah. Can you pass me the pillow for Chloe? Okay. Leave your pillow. Okay. Is it okay if I put a hand on your back for a little while? Yeah. There? Okay. And put one on your head too. And if it feels like tears want to come now, that's also perfectly okay. Perfectly welcome. I just want to check in if there are some voices going on in your head right now. Yeah? Can you tell me what they're saying? Yeah, I'm listening.
There's many. I'm trying to pick.
There's many voices. How many voices are there?
I don't know.
Okay, so you can just let one come out that wants to come. We'll make space to listen to all of them, all right?
One voice says there's that it's
So a lot going on, huh? It's okay, take your time. We got time.
one voice feels guilty for taking time,
Okay.
and the other voice says that it's not a bad thing. And then another voice knows where it's from.
Okay, let's address all the voices. So the voice that's feeling really guilty for taking time, let that one speak through you right now and tell us where it's from and why it thinks that. Which part of you is this?
Because I'm receiving, no?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
You're
and
not
I'm
allowed?
taking your time
Mm.
and
Is-
everyone's time.
And that voice thinks it's wrong? What does that voice think about it?
It thinks it's not, it doesn't think it's wrong, but it was told that that's wrong.
Who told it?
My dad.
Dad. Okay. And how old was this voice when it got told that?
I think maybe once or maybe 20.
When you were 20, that's the first time it got told that it's wrong to take up time by your dad?
Around that time.
Okay. So this is your 20-year-old self?
Perhaps.
Okay. So I just want to talk to your 20-year-old self and say, here in this room, we're all here for you. It's your time. And we want to give you that time. We choose to. And it's not bad. Can that part of you hear that? Yeah. It's okay if the body wants to shake. Yeah. Maybe it's never heard that before, huh? Yeah. I'm going to ask Tom to come and put the blanket on you because it feels a bit like your body wants to hide away. Would that be right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Tom. Okay. Good. If the body needs to have a bit of a shake under the blanket, it's okay.
Yeah, I like this blanket.
Good. It's a great blanket. Should we put it down and cover your toes? Yeah. Great. Okay. Okay, so that 20-year-old Chloe, we just want to know, make a note that maybe we're going to talk to her a bit more another time. But for now, she's heard that the time is welcome. It's for you. Is that right? Okay. So I want to now connect into the voice that says, actually, it's okay. How's that voice experiencing right now?
That's not me now.
So you now, what's your experience? What can you now offer?
I'm trying to convince the other parts. To feel yeah, that it's okay to take space, it's okay to take time.
Is that part of you, your current self, able to do that or not?
Sometimes.
But now?
Mm.
And it's okay if it's not.
Yeah, the mind says it can, but the body says it goes, it closes.
Okay, so not right now, not in an embodied way. It can't make them be okay with it. Your current self that's trying to sort of facilitate this process, would it be okay for it to give the other parts a bit of space to have their experience? Yeah? But maybe thank that part of yourself for trying so hard to hold everyone together. Just want to give all of those parts a chance to have their experience too. Yeah. It might feel like a relief not to have to hold space so deeply for the other parts. Yeah, so I want you to breathe into that relief. And notice the space rising through your back body right now with that relief. And a little more capacity there. You don't have to work so hard. And again, knowing that your present self is pretty amazing and in tune, you can tap into her anytime. She's doing a great job. And now turning your attention towards that third part that said it knows where it's from. Can you let that part talk to us a little?
Mm-hmm. Oh man. It's from memories.
Mm-hmm.
It's from
What's from memories? So I can really understand.
the sense of wrong.
The sense of wrong, the guilt.
Yeah.
Yes, it's from memories. Which memories?
Like my mother used to have these books. And they were on whatever book she wanted. On certain philosophies or whatever, spirituality even, whatever she was interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad would throw it or get rid of it, things like that. Or like she would have a gift for her friends and he would get angry, or just memories of very normal things that people want to.
So her being and her expression was wrong, according to your dad. Okay. And this part of you that remembers this, how old is she? How old is this part of you?
I think one part of the memory is watching my mom when I was like between 3 to 9.
Okay, so very, very little self, your child self. Okay.
The other part is the 20.
Yes. So I've understood, and you tell me if it's right. There's this young child self who experienced your dad not allowing your mum to just be or exist, making it wrong to be or exist. And there's your 20-year-old self who felt very guilty for your existence and your being. And then there's your current self who's trying to really hold space for the other two. Yeah. So I wonder if you can bring all three of those parts together right now. Yeah. Are they all there listening? Yeah. So we just want to let them know that actually it's okay. You're allowed to be. It's not wrong. I want you to allow all of them to hear that together. And really let that sink into all of their psyches. And I want you to bring all three of their awareness into your body together. Are you able to do that? Yeah. Where can you feel them together in your body? What area of your body do they congregate in?
Maybe somewhere on my back.
Okay, is it where my hand is or somewhere else?
I think it's in the mid back.
Like here? There?
Higher?
Here?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to be with all those three parts of yourself, and that knowing that it's actually okay to exist, to be here. And allow all of them to integrate there at your back. Good. Notice how the whole body is softening, and just allow that. Just breathing into your back, and connecting to the strength that's formed by having all those three parts of you together. Allowing that to be real, so you can take that strength off the table into your life as strength where it's okay to be, a strength where it's okay to express. And I'm just going to ground you at your feet again, Chloe, before we close the session, okay? Thank you for offering me your feet. Bringing awareness to your whole body on the table. My hands under your ankles, the blanket on top of you, the table underneath you, and the pillow supporting your head. Again, breathing into all the spaces and changes that have arisen on this beautiful session today. And thanking all of your parts for turning up. Working it out together. Acknowledging each of them in their separateness and in their togetherness. And take a few breaths in, becoming aware of the table underneath you. How it's been there supporting you this whole time. And take a couple breaths in of this nice peppermint oil. Very present in your body, in the room. Orienting between the walls, the floor and the ceiling. Taking a few more breaths, wiggling fingers and toes very present in your body. And when you're ready, opening your eyes, integrated and settled. Hi. Okay. Yeah. A really big session. Okay. So you just need some time and space to process that. Okay. All right. So we're going to do a standing integration. Do you know what to do? Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you're ready, let me just take this off. Okay. Great. So leaving your feet exactly where they land. I'm right here if you need me. Stand and close your eyes. Little fun size, Chloe.
Yeah,
So just let your body do whatever it needs to do to find natural stillness and center, letting all those micro movements happen. And you can take all the time you need. The time is welcome. Let the floor support you. When you feel like you're grounded and still and not one moment before, you can rub your palms together to generate some heat. Great. Place them over your eyes. Breathe in. Open your eyes and bring your palms down. Okay. Thank you, Chloe.
Thank you.
How are you feeling now after the session?
Yeah, I feel good because I feel there was a lot of coherence around things that are very confusing. Yeah.
So that's good. Is there anything that you want to share about it or ask about it?
Yeah, I think it's a it's like a very unique form of support. Like that, it's not like people think of support, or at least I think of support as which is also useful. Like you talk with a friend, or you cry with yourself, or you have whatever emotional release, movement, dancing, singing, whatever. But I think with this, it reaches a different layer, and then and then what we've been talking about with meaning making, and and then coming back to and then always coming back to the body, which then adds this deeper layer of information that's not always coherent, and then we make it coherent, and then so this process is good.
Okay. Right. Thanks for sharing that. It was a very complex process. So the intention was to show you guys a simple breath release. But this is a highly complex, highly advanced session. And I'm really glad that you got to go through it, and I'm very glad you experienced coherence. This kind of stuff comes up. In order to be able to hold space for this or to support this, you need to have all the basic release skills mastered, but you also need to have a really high level of ability to sense resistance and those internalized fragments. Because basically we reintegrated 3 of your fragmented parts today, and you have to have a handle on parts therapy with a somatic slant, so somatics parts therapy. So to do a session like this, there's a huge amount of learning and skill required. So I guess from a practitioner and a training point of view, I would not expect you guys to facilitate this. I have the skill or experience, so I could. And because it's a very real thing, I just wanted to follow the client. So the more we can learn skills to help follow the client and make sense and find coherence is a great word, or integration, the better. Is there anything that you want to share about the experience or the many layers of resistance that arose, or identifying those 3 fragments?
I think in our previous sessions, the resistance was thicker. Yes, quite thick. And then slowly it would thin. And today, it was still there. And I've kind of had to, somewhere in the middle, when I think somewhere where the clay softened, and then you were encouraging more release. And I was already like, there's more, no more, no, okay, fine. It was very much like that. Okay, it was very, fine, I'll do it. But not in a, not like I'm forcing myself, but it's just like...
really? Like that?
I'm just being stubborn. I know it's my stubbornness. So I just let myself, it's like, no, okay, fine. It's like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I could still feel that layer of resistance.
Okay.
And it could just be, I don't know what it is. It's just, but I think I just let it be and then let it pass.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. There was a bit in there. I mean, there were so many different techniques rolled into that session, but there's a bit in there that I want to highlight that might be a common thing to come up, which was, hey, there's this thing and I want to let go of it, but actually I can't, or I won't. And actually part of me wants to keep it. And this is really common. So we explored how it's part of you. And when somebody's carried something inside them for so long, it does become part of their identity. So to consider being without it can feel terrifying. Like, who would I be without this? So that can come up, which you saw I facilitated a conversation around. And then we did what's known as future pacing, which was to imagine or connect to what would I be without it, which is always going to be really good. So that can counter some of the fear of letting go, which then allows the process to continue. Another technique that you can use there is, okay, what if it's too scary to let go of all of this depression or pain, can we just do a layer? Can we just dip in and let a little bit go just to make some space? That can also counter the fear. The other resistance that can come up there is actually, and I don't believe this is what came up for you, but just for a teaching point of view, it can feel like I do not deserve to exist without this pain, which goes into a whole other completely different thread. So I guess knowing there are those 3 things to watch out for when someone wants to let it go, but they can't because it's just part of them. That one will come up. It's not uncommon. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one thing that I was pondering on was that, is it necessary for it to leave the body?
Well, your experience was that it needed to transform.
Yeah.
So there's no, it's not my job or our job as therapists to say, you need to leave this to heal. No. So while that might be my or our instinct, say get it out of your body, your experience was actually it's ready to transform. I don't need to leave it. So we're going to go with your experience. And I guess something for you to start to watch is when that pain or that depressed feeling or the why me feeling occurs moving forward. Is it less? Is it less intense? Does it happen less often? When you connect to it, are you able to connect to the pain and allow it to transform into beauty through your breath in your hands, which was an anchor that was given? So I guess you'll know the answer to your question when you go out and live your life. Was there a shift? Is there a shift? Or does it need to come back to process in a different way? more traditional isn't the right word, but does it need to leave you, or did it actually transform? And you'll only know that by living your life. Yeah. But there's no right way, and not every session is about release. Sometimes it's about making sense. Sometimes it is about something just transforming. Similarly to how sometimes grace can just transform with gentle presence, perhaps that sense of pain and depression can transform with gentle presence. If you allow it, which connects into your fragmented experience of you are not allowed to exist. You are not allowed to have your experience. So maybe there's a link to integrating those fragments allows you to have an experience that transforms. I don't know. You'll have to feed back to us.
Yeah, I think when we supposedly were able to close, and when you noticed I wasn't able to look at you, I think that surprised me also, because I thought it's like, oh, we're done, but we're not. And I was ready to just swallow it. So I think that extra experience of these three voices is when I get in this, you could say, disassociated or confused mode. And then when there's multiple voices, and then I really get a bit lost.
So these are your fragments. So we're all fragmented. It's about to what degree, and most trauma clients coming in here have a level of fragmentation. And some people, like I think yourself, right, walk around with these voices coming up in their head. On the most severe end of the spectrum, this is schizophrenia. On the least end of the spectrum, this is someone who sometimes has an angry outburst that is otherwise generally healthy. So there's a huge spectrum. And I'm pretty passionate about working with this and understanding this. When we're fragmented, it's impossible to move forward cohesively in our life. And when you go into that confused space with all the voices, it's actually very common. People just don't talk about it, even to their mental health therapists. They don't talk about it because there's a huge confusion and a huge shame that can arise with, oh my God, I'm fucking crazy. I've got voices in my head, right? You're just like, I better not tell anybody. So what we want to do, so when all those voices come, it's incredibly destabilizing, and we freeze and we shut up because we don't know which voice, like, who am I? And so when we can help a client to identify what are the fragments, what happened to them, and where are they from, that's this cohesion that you're starting to talk about, this making sense process. And I led you through an integration of those parts. So a couple of things I want to invite for you is, one, to maybe go and do some journaling from those three parts of yourself, because they're jostling for your attention. And even here on the table, it was very hard for you to connect to just one. So if there's this constant noise in your head, how can we make sense of anything, right? So if you take time, there were three. There's your current self, who it seems like is desperately trying to hold the other two and convince them they're fine. And actually that's counterintuitive, because what they need is a place to express. And that's why they're like, hey, what about me? What about me? So maybe to journal from the perspective of your current self, why is it that this part of you wants so desperately to keep them hushed? Because there's something there for you to. And then your 20-year-old self, what was that experience? What did she feel? It's going to unlock more things for you to process. So there's all these little doors unlocking now through this. And then your 3 to 9-year-old self, like what did she see exactly? What were the emotions there? How are they playing out in your life now? So if you have the curiosity and the desire to like go further in reintegration, this is a necessary process to really deeply get to know these parts. And if you were my client, we would deeply explore them together, because they're all at war with each other, basically. So we want to understand them so they can come back together. And I led a process where they could actually all hear, like the commonality between all of them is, hey, shut up. Like your current self is telling the others, hey, be quiet, it's fine, shh. And then your 20-year-old self was told, hey, it's not okay to take the space. And your young child self saw your dad say to your mum, shut up, don't be you. So the common experience between those three fragments is shut up, shh, be quiet. So we want to find a way for them not to have that belief or command placed over them. So that's why I brought them all together and asked them to all hear, hey, here, you're allowed. So I want you to see, again, walking out of here, is there a change in your ability to express what you want, what you don't want, who you are? Is there a new curiosity available to you? And again, we only know if the session worked if that change starts to ripple in your life.
At what point did you notice that there were voices? Because you very clearly said other voices in your head.
I mean, I noticed them a lot of the time through the session, but I was not going to go there to try and simplify it. But then it was really clear when you found it really hard to look at me. So that's also a common client experience. If they've accessed something that they have suppressed, they can feel either ashamed about it, or they can feel like maybe they will be judged for having an emotional experience or a big release on the table. And that would be common, and normally I just acknowledge it. But when you looked at me, it very much felt like a young child. Like it just felt like, and I could feel, oh, there's something's happening. I could just feel by the way that you looked at me. It's like you looked at me with terror, actually, like, oh my God. And then I could feel you shrink in, like you just said a minute ago, you were going to swallow it. I could feel you swallowing it. So I just wanted to check in. Which I'm glad I did, because I think it's like that second part, that was the deeply, deeply transformational part, in my opinion, as a therapist, although it remains to be seen for you. But usually I can sense, and it's a great thing to start to develop your sensing in. It is very common that when a person comes in to share, they are sharing maybe like 10% of what they're thinking. So being able to start to tune into the unsaid is part of what's going to make you guys amazing therapists. And on the table, often they'll say something is fine, but it's clearly not fine, or there's clearly another thought process going on. So starting to learn to be able to tune into that dissonance, that's what allows you to reach in. Because those fragmented parts, they're likely not going to come up and talk to you. You got to, like, you would have never said, hey, Natalia, I'm having these voices in my head. Like, no client's going to do that. And so the way to really support deep change is to reach in and say, hey, I see you in there. But I think that takes time and skill, and to like deeply trust yourself, because if there's a client on the table and you're like, do you have voices in your head? They could either be like, no, or it could be too much. Like they could feel, so you have to make sure the attunement's really good and that you're really sure of what you're intuiting. And again, to pose it as a question, notice I didn't say, Chloe, there are 3 voices in your head. Tell me what's going on. I'm always asking. I'm promoting self-inquiry and for your truth to emerge. Is there anything else you want to share from the experience today?
I think that's it.
Okay. Dom, do you have anything you want to share from watching it, like any observations or any questions that you have? It's a super complicated session.
It's a super duper long process.
Yes. Well, it was 90 minutes, so it's the length of a real session.
Right. I'm just thinking, like, how much is enough, you see? Like, I mean, looking at the processes, there's one process after another process. Even towards the end, you try to integrate, and then, hey, there's another process coming up. And then like, I'm just thinking from a therapist point of view, like, is it too much, or is it like, hey, because you were integrating, and hey, there's this process that come up again.
Yeah.
So that choice point.
There is a choice point, you're right.
Should I be integrating or should I be processing, you see?
Yeah. So I guess in that session, so it would be really unlikely for me to go into something else once I've brought a client out. So that second part, I usually would not do it. But it was really clear she was not integrated.
Mm-hmm.
And that her fragments were busted open. So when she was looking at me, it was probably from her 3 to 6 year old self, is my instinct. So if I leave a client when they're clearly not integrated, to me, that's what causes re-traumatization. So Chloe could have walked out having all these voices and really confused and not feeling that cohesion. And I never want anyone to leave my room like that.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, this was a really difficult session, even for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have no problem to facilitate it. It was not an easeful session.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you guys don't get sessions this. You have a very complex case. Even in the talking, that's a highly complex case. The fact that there's like 4 different emotions feeding into one trigger experience, that's very complicated. This is the definition of complex trauma. That's why it's not so easy to work with. Hopefully, you have more simple cases where, oh yes, I'm angry because my dad hit me and I have some grief that he didn't love me. Okay, let's process grief, let's process anger, let's go. That's ideally what you're going to get. But in the case that there is something really complicated, it's a matter of a decision of what you can handle in the time. It's also a matter of like where your awareness is and where your skill is. So it's a really hard question, but I think what you're getting at is, I think maybe it seemed messy. Is that right? So,
but I think you make it very clear, I would say, from the initial talk component, you try to break it down.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of helped. And
Yeah.
then it's more like wondering, from a therapist's point of view, like, hey, how do I make that decision? Then I know it came up quite probably very obvious for you because Chloe turned towards you and you were able to see that hey, it doesn't look like integrated.
I knew she was not okay. I knew that was not okay and that nothing would have integrated and she would have left more confused.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to cause harm.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, even before that, it was a really complicated session because there's resistance after resistance. And my style is to...
subtle.
Yes, but my style is to meet the resistance, diffuse, meet the resistance, diffuse. And hopefully there's not going to be so many. Like this is like one of the hardest cases you would ever get. Yeah. Luckily, I'm good at what I do. But just say there was a resistance that you can feel, but you're not quite sure what to do, which maybe is probably a more common experience, right? Oh, this person is resisting me and I don't know what's going on. You can actually just, the best course of action rather than to like play, because actually I was not playing. I know what I'm doing. Well, I feel I do. I feel like I'm very clear with the way I respond. If a resistance comes up and you're like, maybe I should try something, don't try, don't play. If you're not like, oh, I need to do this, then actually you could just say something like, it feels like there's a part of you that's resisting this, is that true? Yes. Okay, well, how about we shift into resourcing? So that's a completely other route and probably safer at this point. If it feels like, hey, I tried a couple things, I tried my bodywork techniques, I tried to have a parts conversation, something's not, you can just say, it feels like there's not an ease to go into this experience, and the client will probably say, that's okay, we don't have to process anything, I'm just going to be here to support you with my hands. And like I mentioned earlier in today's session, that in itself can be really powerful because the client doesn't feel force. and it can bring about a very beautiful release if it's body-based only, or if there might be some gentle tears. Sometimes just to be held and supported is like the thing that's needed. And I think as well, if as a practitioner you're just not quite sure what to do, that would always be the best option. Don't try to poke where you don't know you're poking. And I guess that kind of feels like the opposite of what I just did, because I did a million things. But I feel like I knew I was following a trail. Though, to be honest, at a couple of points I was like, oh, nothing's going to happen. But I've had that experience a few times for very complex clients. And in my experience, it always does. If I listen and I attune deeply and I follow using the skills I know are correct, something will always emerge.
I felt that moment where it was like, I was questioning, I was like, does anything need to happen? The clay has softened. Why does anything need to happen now? I had that kind of moment.
But that was a resistance too.
Really?
So you're like, it doesn't need to go. Yeah, I mean, you're very resistant, Chloe. But that's like, oh yeah, it's done. I don't need to do anything. I'm not angry. I'm not angry. No, I'm very nice. It's the same thing. Just in a much more subtle way. Oh, it's softened. I don't need to release anything. There's nothing in me. I got no trauma. We're done. Right? It's a resistance.
A sense of it. Yeah. I was like,
maybe I'm done. Maybe I'm all healed now from shedding a tear. Maybe my whole trauma is healed. Come on. So if someone's like that, oh, it's fine, it's just past. That can happen too. So someone might connect into an emotion. Oh, it's gone. And this connects again more to like a spiritual healing route. Oh, it's transforming into beauty and oneness and love and light. Is it? Or are you avoiding your pain? So I guess that's a big query. But I think that's a very long-winded answer. If you've met a couple of layers of resistance and tried a couple of things and you're just like, this is not moving, you're going to switch into resource and you're going to let them know, okay, we're not going to force anything. And I've done that in sessions too. We're not going to force anything today, and I'm just going to hold you and support you. And I think something else, like, to be very honest, that feeds into this, like, this was a really intense session. I worked freaking hard in that session. Some days as therapists, we've got capacity. Some days we don't. And that's the truth of it. We're humans. So if I was feeling like exhausted and overwhelmed, I probably would have just gone to resource too. But I know I'm here to teach you guys something, and I also know it's probably quite a big deal for you to have a real session, right? And I feel resourced. So yeah, I think that's important to like own as therapists. Some days we've got a bit more juice and some days we don't. We're humans. Yeah. Okay, is there anything else, Dom, that you wanted to share or ask from that session?
That's about it. Just, I thought, you sort of like meet the resistance where they are.
Yeah, always.
It's the resistance. I mean, surprisingly, it came up very subtly, but you realize, hey, there's a resistance, right?
So I think that's the art, Dom. Like, to just keep noticing and meeting and noticing and meeting and noticing and meeting. So even in the breath technique that I've given you guys, which we went into it, but she couldn't release. Because there was too much other stuff, and that might happen. But even in the breath technique itself, we're meeting resistance. The resistance to feel, the resistance to breathe, the resistance to open your mouth, the resistance to sound, the resistance to move the body, the whole work. Where are your resistances? Let's diffuse them. That, in a nutshell, is it.